Hello everyone, my name's George Hammond, and today we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different. Normally on this channel I review music software and sample libraries, etc, and general things like that. However, today we'll be taking a look at something a bit different. This is the Nektar 25-key LX Mini. This is a MIDI controller that Nektar sent out to me a few days ago to take a look at, and I have to say, it's rather interesting. I didn't pay for this, I must firstly say that, but Nektar did send it to me for free to review, but I do think that it's a bit on the pricey side for a 25-key MIDI controller. Most models cost anywhere, 30 to £40. This, for example, the Akai LPK 25, cost me £29 when it was brand new. That was quite a few years ago now. I googled the price the other day and it was £39, so it's gone up a little bit. This LPK is LX Mini, sorry. This is, however, £87 to £99.99. It ranges in price depending on the store you go on. Gear for Music had it for $9.99. Somewhere else had it for £87. So that's definitely quite on the pricey side for a 25-key MIDI controller. But you do have to keep in mind, this has pads and it has these knobs and all these functions, and we'll get to these knobs in a minute. One thing I don't like about this keyboard is that they haven't included any modulation wheels or pitch bend wheels. Now, most 25-key MIDI controllers do not actually have pitch bend or modulation wheel controllers on them, unless they're quite fat and chunky, like the Nektar 25 by Novation. That's a very old keyboard, though. I've got it down there. It's really, really big for a 25-key keyboard. This is very thin, as you can see. It's quite a good size. But it doesn't have any pitch bend or modulation wheels on it. That's obviously for space. But what they have instead included is this joystick. Now, I'm not really a big fan of it. Most keyboards of this size don't really include modulation and pitch bend, and I'd rather they had not included them rather than have this joystick. It's really tiny, really, really tiny, and it's really easy to nudge. So when you're playing and trying to control it at the same time, it's far too easy to be able to go diagonally and change pitch as well as modulation if you only want to change one of them, because of course it goes in all directions. You can move it around circularly, so it's very easy to nudge and not control the exact value you want to control. And that is quite a shame on it, because for a keyboard like this to include pitch bend and modulation is quite a good thing. But they've done it this way, and I'd rather it wasn't included over having that. One thing they could have done is gone the Native Instruments route and have touch strips. So you just touch them and move them up and down, like so. And those don't really take up as much space as a wheel. You could just put them one there, it'd fit quite well. Obviously the technology is a bit more expensive and it would raise the price a bit. However, the joystick is just not really usable at all. You can't use it really to control something precisely. It's good for jamming about with, but you can't really actually, really go in and get exactly what you want to do with it, unfortunately. Real shame. One thing I found whilst using this keyboard over the last few days is that the knobs are deeply unreliable, which is a really big shame, because when I initially tried them out, they worked really, really amazingly. It was really cool to be able to control synths whilst playing without having to keep glancing at what I'd mapped the knobs to. Because if you look here, I don't know if you can see that, it has the values written on it. So this knob here, for example, has cutoff written underneath it. This has resonance, etc. So if you just pop it in instrument mode, the cutoff should control the cutoff, the resonance should control the resonance. Now that's really nice. You can just quickly glance at the keyboard and adjust it as you're playing live or as you're programming it in. However, as I said, it's not really reliable. The reason I'm not actually going to be giving you any proper demo of this controller in action is because of the fact I've tried recording this video 4 times now. Each time, the knobs have worked just before doing the live demo. So I'd, get the camera set up, I'd just experiment. They are working, yes. Then they wouldn't when I actually got to the part where I wanted to try them. And outside of trying to do this video, it's something I've experienced as well. I've gone to change a value, it hasn't worked. 10 minutes later, it's worked. It's really, really weird. I've got all the drivers installed. Everything should work because I've yeah, I've got all the drivers installed. I've got set up correctly inside Cubase. I've tried it in Ableton as well, and it doesn't work in there either, which is quite a shame because on paper, it's a pretty amazing idea. And when it did work the first time, it was really, really cool to just be able to go in and adjust those synth values without having to look at the computer screen, just look at the keyboard. It's sort of like playing a real synth. So it is quite a shame. It could just be my model, but I can't say for sure, unfortunately. The build quality of this controller is quite nice, especially when compared to other 25-key MIDI controllers. I wouldn't go chucking it about or play cricket with it, for example, but I would be comfortable to put it in a bag and bring it out and play live, etc. But it's definitely still plastic, and it does feel like it. But it doesn't feel as plastic as some. If I pick up this, for example, this feels really sort of cheap and plasticky, but it then is around a quarter of the price. This does have a plasticky feel to it, but it's comparable, I'd say, to my Native Instruments A61 controller. It's sort of similar feel to that. The knobs, however, do feel really cheap, I'd say. But then in general, you don't expect much from a 25-key MIDI controller. But for the price, it is a little bit of a letdown. But overall, I'd say the build quality is pretty nice. The pads especially, they feel really nice. They're firm under your fingers. And yeah, I'd happily hit them quite hard. The controller comes with Bitwig 8-track, which is a DAW. Here's the code for it. I don't know if any of you can see that. So first come, first served. Whoever wants it can pick it up. I'll probably put it in the comment section pinned as well. So it's pretty nice to see that included. So you can, if it's your first keyboard you ever buy, you can just download Bitwig 8-track, give it a try, see if it's something you're interested in. It's meant to have really deep integration with Ableton, though actually when I loaded up Ableton Live Suite 10, I had some trouble with it. There is meant to be a tutorial series coming out. However, at this point in time, it isn't. Those videos aren't out, and I did say to them I want to do it, as any other customer would. So I don't want any special access to these videos that they did offer me. So maybe if you watch them, you're able to understand more about how to set it up correctly. But I followed all the steps on their webpage, and I watched a few YouTubers who had some tutorials on it. I couldn't really get the functionality that I was sort of led to believe it may have. For example, I believed that these pads could be used to trigger clips and scenes in live mode. However, I couldn't get it to do so. It does work well in Cubase's new Midi remote editor. It's really nice, so you can map these controllers yourself to different things, which is really useful. One thing I did was experimented with using these pads as macros, which was pretty cool. And overall, I think the keyboard is a bit frustrating to use. It's not nice when it just stops working and it isn't doing what you want to do, and then 10 minutes later it's working again. However, overall, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. It's definitely on the pricey side. However, it's got some nice functionality in it. This has been quite a short video. I do know that. It would have been longer if I could do the live demos. But unfortunately, as I said, it's too unreliable to do it. I've tried recording this video multiple times, and it hasn't gone well at all, unfortunately. What I should just remember to say quickly, though, is just looking at my notes here, is the velocity sensitivity is actually pretty good on these keys here. It's sort of similar to my A61 by Native Instruments. There's a little bit more weight on the Native Instruments controller, but the actual, when plugging in and playing it, velocity sensitivity is pretty similar, I'd say. The pads seem to only have around 3 dynamic layers. It doesn't seem as responsive. However, that may just be the drum libraries I'm using. It was pretty cool though, and I do think they do respond quite well, and you can hit them quite hard without kind of fear that it will be damaged. So that's pretty nice. It's a pretty okay keyboard overall, and I quite like it. It's got all these functionalities here, all these buttons you can map to macros, etc. And these are transport controls. It's got some pretty nice functionality. It's a big shame about that joystick though. That really is quite annoying. So overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I may have some more videos coming out talking about this keyboard in the future. If I can get it to work a bit better, I might experiment with some other things, but I did want to get this video out quite quickly. So I experimented for a bit more, and I may be able to do some more videos on it in the future. There may be some interesting things I find. I may end up using it as a Cubase MIDI remote thing, and I can show you how to set that up. That'll be quite interesting, I think. I want to thank my patron member, Macavalon. If you want to help support me, be sure to check out my Patreon, which can be found in the description. It's something new I've set up, and it really does help me out and helps the channel out. I've also got an announcement. I've got 2 new bits of music out. A suite for Mars Suite, which were some sketches taken from a work project I was working on called Fastest Rising. That isn't really going on much anymore, but you can find that bit of music. I've also got the main theme for Eagle Rising, which is a really cool mod for Bannerlord. They got me in, commissioned me to do a main theme, so you can go listen to that. And the response on that has been pretty amazing. It's got nearly 1,000 views in 2 days, basically, so I'm very happy about that. And yeah, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like. My name has been George Hammond. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.